Welcome to lesson number 6, Understanding Your Sacred Endowment. Today, we're talking about symbolism. Will you seek to understand the deep symbolism in the temple and let it sink into your heart? My mind, Peter Brooks, is a treasure trove of memories. These things have great symbolism in my life. When I see something like this, the glass float, this is kind of bigger than it looks. We used to collect these on the beaches in Hawaii, and I even have one sitting on my desk right now. It just brings back such fond memories of Hawaii. It reminds me to stay loose because sometimes you just float on the ocean, you can't control things. I also have near my desk this redwood bowl from Muir Woods, and every time I see it, it brings back those fond memories of the Bay Area. I carry on my keychain a little tiny gold Japanese coin, and it reminds me of my mission to Japan. And I have things hanging on my wall. I have these lobster boys hanging on my wall that remind me of my trip to Maine. I absolutely love Maine and that part of the world. All these are symbolisms. Symbols, something that stands for something else. The gold coin, for example, is not Japan, but it stands for Japan. We see symbols all day long, right? Stop signs, the wedding ring, a symbol of marriage, the boards being thrown into the air, a symbol of graduation, and the heart. The heart. See, a lot of symbols have multiple meanings. And my question is, what are all the things that this red heart could symbolize? When you see it, you think of love, feelings, joy, happiness, a muscle in the body, the central part of something, emotions, compassion. It has multiple meanings. Symbols trigger feelings. For example, some people are so connected to like a brand like Nike or something like that, and they think they're good. I mean, they feel good when they do it. Or Coca-Cola. What's the difference between Coca-Cola and Pepsi? A lot of times it's a feeling because of the symbol. Apple, I'm an Apple guy. I have an apple. I love apples. I'm not an IBM guy. Sorry about that. But I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that when I see these symbols, they evoke feelings. Some of you are Disneyland nuts. You absolutely love Disneyland. You can't, you just want to go there. And when you see this, it evokes all the feelings that you have when you go to Disneyland, right? McDonald's, McDonald's, they're smart. Those big M's, those aren't for the adults. Those are for the kids to say, I want to go to McDonald's, right? Because the kids love it. Facebook, Amazon, Shell Station. I mean, all of these could give you emotions. And hopefully this one, if you're a member, a United States person, the flag will give you some emotions. They evoke memories. Every time I see this logo, I think of flying to Hawaii. Every time I see the Leonard's Malasada logo, I think of malasadas. If you haven't had one, you got to have it. Polynesian Cultural Center, same thing. I remember hearing the drums at night when I was living in Laie, and I see the logo and I think of it. This logo, a great high school. If you want to go to high school in Hawaii, there's only one high school you should go to, Kahuku. Okay, don't forget that. When we were living in California, Laguna Beach was one of our favorite hangouts. We love seeing the Dodgers. Is there any other baseball team, right? Some symbols, though, are negative. For example, if you see this, hopefully it gives you chills. And you see somebody doing that sign, yeah, Nazi, not good. This sign, Ku Klux Klan, this supremacist hate group, you probably are not familiar with this sign, but that's the sign that they put on their hoods. Can you imagine seeing something like that in your neighborhood? Some symbols are both negative and positive, depending on your belief system. For example, Make America Great Hat Again if you are a MAGA person, or if you're a Democrat. It gives you emotions, good or bad, depending on who you are. In-N-Out Burger, you may be a vegetarian and think, bad symbol. LA Times, which I love to read. The Epic Times, which is a far-right newspaper, that might, give you certain feelings and emotions. CNN, you may be a CNN person, or you may be a Fox News type person, but hopefully symbols represent you. Are you wearing a Rolex watch? That's a symbol. It's not necessarily for telling time. It's a symbol of who you are, as opposed to somebody who wears a Timex watch. That's a symbol of who you are also. You may be driving a Mercedes or you may be driving a Honda. Symbols, right? Or what you can afford. You shop at Macy's or do you shop at Walmart? Interesting. Are you a Patagonia guy? I love them. Or are you a Kirtland Signature? I also love them too, from Costco and stuff like that. There's religious symbols. Every symbol has kind of a unique look. Of course, the cross for Christianity. Religions, isn't that interesting? The third most popular religion is nothing: secular, non religious, agnostic, atheist. The crucifix, a big symbol in the Christian world. You see the cross and you know exactly what that means. If you are of the Catholic faith, the rosary, aids in prayer and meditation. It's very symbolic. The hijab, very symbolic by worn by some Muslim women, as is the kippa or yamuke. I can't say it properly, I'm sorry, but very symbolic for these people. Now let's jump to our church, right? We have symbols. Who doesn't own a CTR ring, right? You wore that symbol, and I will choose the right. Who doesn't love the symbol of the family tree or the symbol of the Book of Mormon? You see that, and that's a symbol. Missionaries, just in their mere presence, are symbols, as is people that are a member of our church, such as Mitt Romney here. Temples are a symbol. Joseph Smith, big families. These are all symbols. The state of Utah, Donnie and Marie. This symbol right here represents the plan of salvation. We got Relief Society, which has a symbol. The Tree of Life, BYU, could be associated with the church, right? And the beautiful people that work at the distribution center. The old Nauvoo stone, Jesus Christ himself, right? And then our logo, which has been updated over the last few years, which is wonderful, showing the resurrected Christ. I'm belaboring the point. I know that I've talked too much about symbols, but get out your personal journal and answer this question. Why does the Lord use symbols to teach us, especially in the temple? Why? Well, there are a lot of answers. A gospel symbol can be an object, event, action, or teaching that represents a spiritual truth. Why do you think we make our temples big and beautiful? It's a symbol. Orson Whitney, God teaches with symbols. It is his favorite method of teaching. Why does the Lord use symbols? Let's look at a lot of reasons. The Lord used symbols to teach abstract concepts. Now we will compare the word unto a seed. Now, if you give place that the seed may be planted in your heart, behold, if it be a true seed or a good seed, if you do not cast it out by your unbelief, that you will resist the Spirit of the Lord, behold, it will begin to swell within your breasts. Alma 32 is a classic scripture using the symbol of a seed to teach this. It's a wonderful metaphor. Another reason the Lord use symbols because some symbols are timeless, culture free, and language free. And now, my sons, remember that it is upon the rock, the symbol, of our Redeemer, who is Christ, the Son of God, that you must build your foundation. Another reason the Lord used symbols because they are generally remembered longer. For example, remember Moroni. And it came to pass that he rent his coat, and he took a piece thereof, and he wrote upon it, and he fastened it upon the end of a pole. The soldiers, the 2,000 stripling warriors, and the other people saw that symbol of what it represented. The Lord used symbols to encourage his students to search for deeper answers. For example, when Christ came to the Americas, he said, therefore go unto your homes and ponder upon the things which I have said, and ask the Father in my name that ye may understand and prepare your minds for the morrow. And I come again unto you again. He wanted us to think about what he had been teaching and then come prepared for more teaching. Another reason, the Lord used symbols to reveal or conceal spiritual truths depending on the maturity of the individual. And I bet the first thing that comes to your mind is a parable, an illustrative story answering a question or pointing out a moral lesson. They were often used by the Lord to veil the meaning of what was being taught. Thus, those who were not ready to live or understand the principles saw the parable only as a nice story. Great symbol. And these are some of the parables that Christ had, and even more parables that Christ had. Another reason, the Lord uses symbols so that we will remember his teachings. Who cannot forget the story of the tree of life that Lehi had? It is such a visual thing that we remember the symbol of that tree, right? Christ himself. And it came to pass that I beheld that the rod of iron which my father had seen was the word of God, which led to the fountain of living waters, or to the tree of life, which waters are a representation of the love of God. And I also beheld that the tree of life was a representation of the love of God. Great, great symbol, is it not? The Lord uses symbols to help us remember Jesus Christ. For example, when Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, they offered sacrifices, and they kind of wondered why, and the angel said, hey, it's a symbol of Jesus Christ. Good symbol, right? And after many days, an angel of the Lord appeared unto Adam, saying, why dost thou offer sacrifices unto the Lord? And Adam said unto him, I know not, save the Lord commanded me. Then the angel spake, saying, this thing is a similitude of the sacrifice of the only begotten of the Father, which is full of grace and truth. Good thing, right? That's a good symbol. And there they are, offering symbols again of the great sacrifice. We do this every Sunday. We take bread, we take water as symbols of Jesus paying the ultimate price for us with his atonement. And there he is in the Garden of Gethsemane. Baptism, a symbol, a big symbol, being born again, of taking upon ourselves the name of Jesus Christ. That's why we renew our covenants every Sunday. And we remember the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Joseph Fielding McConkie and Donald Perry said this, symbols are the universal tongue. Symbols bring color and strength to language while deepening and enriching our understandings. Symbols enable us to give conceptual form to ideas and emotions that may otherwise defy the power of words. They take us beyond words and grant us eloquence in the expression of feelings. Symbolic language conceals certain doctrinal truths from the wicked and thereby protects sacred things from possible ridicule. At the same time, symbols reveal truth to the spiritually alert. Symbols are the language in which all gospel covenants and all ordinances of the salvation have been revealed. From the time we are immersed in the waters of baptism to the time we kneel at the altar of the temple with the companion of our choice in the ordinance of eternal marriage, every covenant we make will be written in the language of symbolism. So temple symbols. What symbols do you see just by looking at the outside of any temple? Write your answers in your study journal. What do you see just by looking at the temple and how beautiful these structures are? Boy K. Packer, before going to the temple for the first time, or even after many times, it may help you to realize that the teaching in the temples is done in a symbolic fashion. Bruce R. McConkie, every divine ordinance or performance ordained of God, every sacrifice, symbolism, and similitude, all that God ever gave to his people, all was ordained and established in such a way as to testify of his Son and center the faith of believing people in him and in the redemption he was foreordained to make. John A. Woodsill, no man or woman can come out of the temple endowed as he should be unless he has seen beyond the symbol the might realities for which the symbols stand.
Each temple is a house of learning. There we are taught in the Master's way. His way differs from modes of others. His way is ancient and rich with symbolism. We can learn much by pondering the reality for which each symbol stands. Teachings of the temple are beautifully simple and simply beautiful. They are understood by the humble, yet they can excite the intellect of the brightest minds.
I love that quote. What is symbolic about wearing white clothing in the temple? Again, get out your journal. I'm not going to give you the answers. Some of it's very obvious. Some of it's a little deeper.
In that spirit, I invite the Latter-day Saints to look to the temple of the Lord as the great symbol of your membership. It is the deepest desire of my heart to have every member of the church worthy to enter the temple. It would please the Lord if every adult member would be worthy of and carry a current temple recommend. The things that we must do and not do to be worthy of a temple recommend are the very things that ensure we will be happy as individuals
And as families. Sorry, I cut that off early. Don't you love his quote? I invite the Latter-day Saints to look to the temple of the Lord as the great symbol of your membership. What symbols do you see in the celestial room? Write your answers in your study journal. This is the Provo City Center Temple. Beautiful, isn't it? What symbols do you see? Look, write, think.
Men and women from various faiths and cultures embrace religious clothing to help express their deepest feelings and devotion to God. The nun's habit, the Jewish prayer shawl, and the monk's robes. All are expressions of the human desire to draw closer to God. Some religious clothing is worn publicly, some only in special places or for special ceremonies. Many members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints also wear religious clothing, but underneath their regular clothes. Similar to ordinary modest underclothing, it comes in two pieces and is usually referred to as the temple garment. Some people incorrectly refer to temple garments as Mormon underwear or even magic underwear, but the more respectful term is temple garments. Temple garments are worn by adult members of the church who have made solemn promises in temples to keep God's commandments and to follow Jesus Christ. They serve as a private and personal reminder of our relationship with God and our commitment to live good, honorable lives.
The church does that so well, don't they? The garment, what a symbol. What a symbol. Go do washings and anointings and pay attention to the symbolism. What symbols do you see with Moroni on the spire? Another symbol.
The temple is the house of the Lord, the basis for every temple ordinance and covenant. The heart of the plan of salvation is the atonement of Jesus Christ. Every activity, every lesson, all we do in the church point to the Lord and His holy house. Our efforts to proclaim the gospel, perfect the saints, and redeem the dead all lead to the temple. Each holy temple stands as a symbol of our membership in the church, as our sign of our faith in life after death, and as a sacred step toward eternal glory for us and our families.
So what are you going to do? This whole lesson was based on symbolism. Of course, you can download these from my website, iloveinstitute.com. And I have some cool handouts on there talking about symbolism. And I have some questions that you may want to answer in your study journal about if you want to get into symbolism even more, and some wonderful quotes about symbolism. And of course, I have a sheet for the kids to color so that they can remember how important symbolism is. I absolutely love the temple. I don't know if you can tell that. I just absolutely love the temple, but sometimes I go and I don't pay attention as I should. Or I'm sitting there looking for some literal explanations of what's going on in the endowment and in the other ordinances. If I can look past that and look at the symbolism of everything, I'm going to the house of the Lord, and it's His house, and He's got all the cool things in there that are symbolic for going back to His presence. I will see you at the next lesson. It's good being with you today.